Hello, NeXT community. So, I'm thinking, I don't know how many times I've had, people that are excited. They have a NeXT computer and they want it to get it to work. And what they don't realize is you need the NeXT sound card for the original 68K hardware. And then you plug the keyboard into the sound card and the mouse into the non-ADB keyboard, which is all proprietary. On later versions, the very last version of the turbo hardware, if you have a V74 ROM, you can use ADB peripherals. And so, I don't know how many times I've seen people try it. If they do have the NeXT keyboard and mouse, non-ADB, and they try and plug it into the serial ports on the back of the hardware, and wind up bending the pins. And I got to thinking, man, there has to be a way to write drivers that would support modern peripherals. And they've kind of come up with some stuff where you have an adapter. Drackware, Matt over at Drackware has one, but he's been sold out forever. And it basically lets you hook up a USB keyboard and mouse, pump it through, I believe it's a little Arduino device that has coding and timings that allow the USB peripherals to sync through this little adapter, and you plug that into the NeXT sound card. And then from there, you can power it up. I know that he also makes a box. It's called the NeXT box that allows you, I think it bypasses sound altogether, does kind of the same thing, and then lets you use that device with his adapter so you get around not having the sound card. Of course, with Brian Archer's card, we actually have the ability to do sound, and you can plug in either non-ADB or ADB devices. I know some of your heads are spinning out there like, what is he even talking about? So, I'm kind of going through all the developer code, all the different directories, and I find this interesting, okay? I found a little, something I hadn't seen before, but it's an FAQ on examples driver kit test driver. And from my reading through this is you have two different independent systems. On the Intel side running NeXTSTEP. So one's going to kind of be the master system and the other's a slave system. And so you can write your own test driver to support different hardware, video cards, Ethernet, and so forth. And I assume keyboards and mice. So there has to be something like this for NeXT 68K hardware. And it's kind of straightforward. So I got into, running previous here, and I'm going to make a video on how to do the installs. I'm kind of going through, I found how you can screen record using QuickTime so I won't have all these shaky videos. I'm learning. So at any rate, so you make this test driver project, and it looks like it uses Project Builder, and it writes what's called a loadable kernel server. So with your device, you match it up with the footprint of the peripheral or the card that you want to connect, right? And you load it in. If they kind of give you templates, which is cool. So you just kind of plug in all the variables. So we have a lot of opportunity to maybe support some of the more modern devices. With the old device driver test software, and it gives you examples and everything else. But what I was getting at is if there is something, there has to be for original NeXT 68K hardware that would do the same thing, that would allow us to write a driver that would let us hook up alternative keyboards and mice. And I don't know, I'm assuming you may have to have a special ROM in order for it to handshake at the beginning. But it would be cool if we could get, there's a lot of systems out there that the keyboards and mice and sound cards are long gone. And I thought, well, we do have those serial ports on the back of the NeXT. And maybe there's a way to invent, even the DSP port, a way to have an input device that would handshake with the keyboards and mice. Obviously, there's the adapter, but if there was something that was just simple, we could load a driver and then allow it to plug in, because there's a lot of serial mice and keyboards out there, and use those AB ports. I don't know if I'm grasping at straws. There's probably some seasoned driver writers out there that may have some ideas on it. And of course, you still have to power up the system. So there's got to be a way to activate that as well. And so we probably have to come up with some way to just jumpstart the system and then get it to see the keyboard and mouse. I know you can run them headless, for example, and view it through, I think it's NeXT app. So you can see what's going on that computer from another NeXT and then manipulate it that way. So that was another thing I wanted to see if I could do. If I'm running, say, previous, is there a way I could network previous to an original NeXT computer? This is something I'm just literally thinking of. If it's networked, we're running, say, NeXT app, would there be a way to send a signal to that computer, because you're running it headless through Ethernet, to one, power it up, and two, see if the thing works? See if it'll actually boot, maybe throw in a little Zulu SCSI card. So, because NeXT app is using Ethernet to actually look at what's on that computer, and there were a couple applications like Screencast and WatchMe that would allow you to do just that. Screencast would cast whatever's on the professor's or any of the student screens to other screens within the network, and WatchMe would be so that students could watch what was going on the main screen in a little window. So I'm just trying to find a way. As I say, there's a lot of people out there that have these NeXTs, but they don't have any way to use them. If there's a simple way, or a way that we could, say, use this previous emulator on modern hardware, figure out a way to network it, say, come up with a little app that does that via Wi-Fi, that powers on the legacy NeXT 68K hardware, so that, people would be able to actually power the thing up, and they wouldn't have to have keyboard, mouse, and sound box, the original stuff. It would give them, the utility to be able to use it, even in display settings, which would be kind of neat. You could say, okay, this is actually previous running on the modern hardware, and then this is actually that computer over there, that NeXT Cube, and it's working. Until they actually locate, or we come up with a way to invent the device that's going to make it work with non-legacy, non-ADB hardware. And that's kind of, as I say, there are adapters out there. He's been sold out for a while, so maybe we can come up with some alternatives. I noticed over at Rabbit Hole, where they make the Zulu cards, they do have a little adapter, and I think it's like ADB. So you can plug in USB devices to ADB. And I think the source code's free on that one. I might order one of those and see if it would work to a NeXT. And I'll talk with Alex over there and say, hey, can you make something like this for NeXT non-ADB peripherals? Because I've bought quite a few Zulu cards, and that would be something, So it's just another way for me to offer something to the NeXT community. If we had a simple device that was very reasonably priced, and his adapters are, and then, I'm offering these turnkey solutions that work with the Zulu card and the Blue SCSI card. It's just kind of giving us a way to grow the community, that the retro legacy NeXT hardware community. Just another thing I'm doing here, and I've got some fun stuff I'm going to come up with, if only I had time. So I guess this is, another part of the newbie makes a screensaver where now I'm like going, it'd be nice to have the ability to have, drivers so you can actually fire up these old NeXTs without having to rely on the original stuff. And there we go. I've got a million things to say, obviously. So as far as the screensaver, I need to get back to that and see if I could just make the login panel sync. And I'm thinking with the original screensaver, until I can actually write one from scratch, I'm hoping that I might be able to modify an existing screensaver, as it looks like they rely on a TIFF file, for example, on just a static image. A lot of them use like a mathematical image and then just keep rewriting it. But all I need, for example, there's one that has a NeXT logo that bounces around on the screen. So if I can figure out a way to get into the source and maybe even leave it the same, but just change the actual TIFF that everything's pointing at. Because you probably have something like nextlogo.tiff, and then that pops up on the screensaver. Well, if I can, say, take this WestCap logo, save it as nextlogo.tiff just for their use so they can show it. So this would be, in effect, the same TIFF that's used in the legacy NeXT screensaver. So that would bounce around on the screen until I can actually overcome the learning curve of how to write all the screensavers from scratch. I'm having fun doing it, but it's not going to happen overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day. And in the interim, as usual, I'm coming up with lots of different stuff. I also want to start doing the screen recording in QuickTime. And it looks like Apple removed the ability, because I could have like 2 or 3 cameras going at the same time as the screen recording, which gets interesting. I found this out by having a second iPhone that was just plugged in, and I was like, well, where's that video feed coming from? Because it was like pointed at my cat. And I'm like, there's the one from that was on the desk, this little, the one up here, right? And then there was the one I'm holding in my hand. And then the third one was this old iPhone. So, and that one apparently was live, right? And I don't know how long it's been broadcasting, but I'm like, what the heck? It's kind of creepy and terrifying and really cool at the same time, because I have a bunch of these old iPhones. So I'm thinking, well, you could probably, in effect, make a doorbell cam out of one of them, or security, because they're floating around doing nothing anyway, right? So, and they do work. You can launch them and then use them in QuickTime. Now, QuickTime used to support, just by copying the app, you could have 3 or 4 cameras going at a time. And so somehow, I don't know why they removed features, but it looks like that's no longer available. And I don't think they're even supporting QuickTime anymore from what I'm reading. So I'm looking at, maybe alternatives that'll let me do 3 different views. So I can have the on-screen view, maybe the webcam view, maybe this camera view, and maybe a side angle view. So when I'm, doing videos, it'll be kind of fun to show all the different stuff and the onboard screen recording. So things will become a little bit more professional. As I say, it's a newbie learning all this stuff. I hope you can have fun and bear with me. And maybe it'll help you guys be motivated to do it as well. I don't want to be alone out here on the web trying all this stuff. Feel free to join in. And if you are already doing this stuff, I'm not the only newbie watching this, and we appreciate any help and guidance in this. Oh, gurus of the internet, like the Jedi, come and help the retro computer guys get up to speed, old fogies. Appreciate your time and have a great day. Thanks.